Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome, Maddie. We've got another 8 people that have all registered and filled in their registration form with their intentions and goals for the year. So I'm hoping that they're going to show at some point. But what we'll do is we'll get kick-started because you're here right on time. And
Amazing.
so we've been hanging out in the green room, having a little chat, me and Maddie.
Have a little catch.
Which is what's lovely about doing them right now. So this webinar is about embodied goals, and you might be wondering what embodied goals are and what the difference between embodied goals are and sort of other goals. You know, there are so many goal setting workshops and ways of doing it. So that's what today is about. It's about kind of exploring those different ways and why really embodying your goals and having that lived experience is so important to setting goals that you're actually going to go out and get and achieve and be. Hey Heather, how you doing?
Hi Heather.
Hiya.
Good to see you. Okay, we're live and direct. So first of all, ladies, good morning and thanks so much for joining me. What I'd love to do, first of all, is just have you please place your feet on the ground and sit up nice and tall. So sort of uncross your legs if you've got your legs crossed. And just close your eyes. All right, sit up nice and tall and take a deep inhale and let your heart rise up towards the sky, just lengthening your spine. And exhale and just feel your bum on the chair and feel your feet on the ground. And tune into your breath. And just notice the qualities of your breath. Notice if they're soft or smooth, if the breath is high up in the chest or low down in the abdomen. You want to just feel into the qualities of your breath at this point. There is no right or wrong way of doing this. This is just all about tuning into where you're at right now. How you are, where your body is feeling, how your breath is feeling. The breath is the key indicator of our well-being, of our state, of whether we're in a state sort of sympathetic nervous system action or parasympathetic relaxation. And really what I'd love you to be doing right now is using the power of your breath to bring your body into a parasympathetic nervous system state. So that is the state of relaxation, training the body and mind to relax. Might want to just place your phone on silent. So as you breathe, imagine that the breath is coming in through the body like a wave from the seat all the way up to the crown of the head on the inhale, and on the exhale, flowing back down to the ocean through the pelvic floor. So really drawing the breath in, up through the pelvic floor, through the midline of the body, out the top of the head, and exhaling all the way back down. So becoming aware of your midline. And the midline of the body is a little bit in front of the spine. It's literally the center of the body. Hey, Fiona. Good, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so close your eyes. Place your feet on the ground. And just breathe. So we're just starting with a breath awareness meditation. So just tune into your breath. And just inhale and draw the breath up the midline of the body, up to the crown of the head. And exhale and let that flow down. Okay, so with your breath, just notice the qualities. Is it rough or is it smooth? Can you lengthen the inhale and exhale? Is the inhale longer than the exhale or vice versa? And just observe your breath right now. Okay, now I'd like to place your hands on your heart and just breathe into your heart. And as you breathe, just visualize golden light coming into your heart. And as you exhale, I'd like you to visualize that like a flame, as if you're blowing on the embers of a flame and it's burning brighter. So as you exhale, let that flame expand through your chest. Inhale into your heart, golden light, and exhale, really simple. Just let that expand through the chest, through the body, through your whole body, down into the pelvis, up into the head, with every breath expanding. Letting that light glow. And with that focus on your heart, just drop into the seat a little more grounded and feel your feet on the ground. And with your eyes closed, become aware of the space around you now. So just internally, where you're sitting, the room that you're sitting in, what's in front of you, what's either side of you. Eyes closed. What's behind you? What's beneath you? What's under your feet? And then what's above your head? Is there another floor or is it the roof? And what's beyond that in the sky? And becoming aware then of your neighborhood, of the city beyond that, of the sea and the downs, or wherever you are in the world. And at the same time, being aware of your breath. And what can you hear? What can you feel? Is there a breeze on you? Is it calm and still? And let your shoulders drop away from your ears a little more. And let your heart rise up towards the sky a little more. And soften your lower back and jaw and eyes. Okay, gently open your eyes. All right. So notice how you're feeling. And I'd just like to introduce the idea of embodied goals. They're about aiming high whilst enjoying the ride. It's about feeling into what's possible before it happens, so that we make sure that we're giving attention to what is authentically a true goal for us. So it's not about these externally focused sort of societal goals. It's actually about what's coming from the inside out. So that's one of the main reasons for grounding with a meditation to start with. Esther No Charles, I don't know if you know her. She's a poet and writer. She says a beautiful quote, which is, what you focus on expands. So focus on what you want, not what you don't want. So we've all heard of smarter goals, as smart goals and smarter goals. But really, embodied goals are about using the power of neuroscience, of embodied cognition, of our way of being to create what we want in our lives. So it's essentially climbing to the top of what is possible, of our own mountain, and it's making the journey a joy to experience. So that the achievement is not in getting to the top of the mountain, the achievement is in the journey itself. And actually, how can we make our lives, our day-to-day lives, more happy and more balanced, and feel into the true potential of limitless possibility of being alive. So I'd like to first chat about neuroplasticity. So I'm going to bring my face back just because otherwise it's a little bit faceless. So I shall get you back here. Hi. Hey, and we've got Karen on the call now. Fab. Hi, Karen. How are you doing? I'm glad you're here. So we've got Fiona, Heather, Karen, and Maddie. So would you like to just go around just for a minute and introduce yourselves and just say a little bit about you? And, oh, hello. All right, that's my screen share going bonkers. Let me just get, there we go. Hi. So do you want us to just say a little bit about you and what you're inspired to be here, why you're inspired to be here, about what you do? So Karen, would you like to go first?
Hi. I'm a yoga teacher and I'm also a full-time carer. So I'm trying to get the balance of running a business out of my yoga teaching and also being a full-time carer as well. So that's the first bit about me for now.
Okay, great. And what's inspired you to be here? What's your inspiration to focus on your embodied goals right now?
You really inspired me.
Oh, thanks.
Just listening to your talks and just thought, wow, you've really upped your game.
Oh, thanks, Karen. How about for you in your life? What do you want to?
For me in my life,
Yeah.
well, the progress for me, I would say, has been quite slow because of my life situation with my children at home.
Mm-hmm.
And now I just feel like it's really time to get those wheels turning, because there's certain key elements that I'm just not, like blind spots.
Yeah.
Haven't quite grasped yet to get things going. So I'm really looking forward to learning and growing.
Amazing. Thanks, Karen. Okay, Maddie.
Hi everyone. I used to live in Brighton. I was a dance teacher there, and I had to move to Nottingham because of my health. So I never really wanted to go. So I didn't actually know if I was able to join this group because I'm not in Brighton. But I think that's okay.
Yeah. Great.
And I wanted to do this because I'm finally clawing back some kind of existence and looking at working again, which has been a very long time. I haven't been able to because of my health. And part of that is working smart and looking after my whole self. So approaching business in a very holistic way. And really looking after myself and taking that time out and doing everything much slower because I can't do everything at the rate that most other people do. So I've had to kind of do it my very own individual way. Which I suppose what everybody does have to do anyway, but I just feel like I'm unique in that I can only do about 12 hours a week. So I have to really prioritize what I do and make it work, make it really worthwhile.
Thanks, Maddie. Yeah, that sounds really intense. And it's great that you're coming back to the point where you can, you're being super mindful about how you can then engage and step up gradually.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, thanks for that. So who would like to go next? Fiona, how about you? You're muted at the moment.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
There we go. Yes, great.
Good. Yeah, sorry, I've been a bit distracted, you can probably tell. There's things going on all around me. So, and I couldn't get signed up to Google Hangout. So apologies. I hope I haven't distracted anyone else by being distracted.
Don't worry.
So Kat I was sat next to you yesterday and you were talking about this, and I'm always interested in anything talking about goal setting. and just, you know, having a bit of time to talk with other people about what you may want to go, where you want to go next, where you are now. So for me, it's quite straightforward, really. I've got a content business that I need to focus in on, and at the same time, I'm creating an online community which I want to start to monetize and make a bit more. It's been a kind of a vanity project, and I want to make it more than that. So they're kind of specific work orientated things, but you know, I'm sure more will come as we start to talk.
Okay, great, thanks. And I know that on your, do you mind if I say that on your sign up sheet you said, you know, what is your major challenge right now, and you just said me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that, how insightful that is, to kind of really recognize that we are the reason for our limitations, you know, we place that on ourselves.
I mean, it doesn't matter how many times you realize that, it's still like you said, there's layers, so you kind of realize, oh, I've done that again, or this is the reason why this isn't going this way. And it kind of, the more it happens and you realize the common denominator to things maybe not working out the way you want is you. For me anyway, it's generally the common denominator will be me. So it's worth looking then at what I can do to change within, and then it doesn't always happen instantly. So things like you said, there's a layer of change.
Yeah,
layers.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're constantly unraveling.
Yeah.
And so it's that awareness, building that awareness that, oh, these are my sabotages, these are the ways that I hold myself back, these are my limiting beliefs, and working on strategies to unravel that.
Yeah,
amazing.
Exactly.
Thank you. Heather, how about you? Oh, you need to unmute. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
You're unmuted.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, a little bit. Yes, in my own way. I am in my own way at the moment. I've sort of I've run my own business for many years, but I've changed it quite radically in the last year. But realised I've sort of created a bit of a monster. It's all become very left brain and very doing, and it's lost a lot of the soul that feeds. So yes, I'm sort of finding most aspects of life quite challenging at the moment. So it's like trying to sort of see, you know, the SMART goals, although I kind of get in principle is fine, but again it feels very sort of rigid and linear and left brain. So the whole idea of sort of chatting with Kat was also about sort of that there's a different way of doing this that actually feeds my soul, because we were talking about last night. We're all trying to go, how are we going to scale it, make it bigger, make it better, faster, brighter? But actually, if it doesn't feed me, well, what's the point, quite frankly? So it's about how to change the way. I'm also very involved in politics. So obviously life is a little challenging on that side as well. So I'm kind of feeling a bit of weight of that. So yeah, just interesting times.
Yes, interesting is the word. among other words. Yes. So thanks, Heather. Yeah, and I think it really is important to put it into that context of the world that we're living in right now. So I just want to have a chat about neuroplasticity. First of all, the intention of this is that that I sort of talk through a few concepts, and then we'll put that into practical action. Okay. So let me just go back. I'm just going to share my screen with you again. There we go. All right. Oh, sorry. Just right. So we're on neuroplasticity. So how does neuroplasticity help us when it comes to goal setting? I mean, so is anyone not familiar with the concept of neuroplasticity?
Not really. It'd be good to have it explained.
Okay, great. So neuroplasticity is our ability to rewire our brains by the power of thought. So it's actually literally the ability to rewire how we think according to what we choose to engage with. And it's the science that backs up ancient spiritual practices like meditation. By the way, if you want to just pop yourself on mute, that will help. That'll be fine. No worries. So it's our capacity to use what we focus on to grow our brains. So the neural pathways in the brain fire, the neural synapses fire when we have a thought. And whenever we practice that thought, it's initially, when it's forging a new neural pathway, it's initially like sort of walking through a fully overgrown rainforest with a machete in our hands. You know, it is absolutely unwieldy, it's overwhelming, it's wild, it's, you know, seemingly impossible. But if we continue that thought and we continue to practice and walk down that pathway, it becomes a footpath. And then the more we practice that, the more we build, and then we can bring someone along with us. We begin to share that practice and begins to be a pattern, a habit. And then if we continue to practice that, then our brain becomes a motorway, and our brain puts a layer of fat over that neural pathway, and it becomes a full-on part of our brain. So it's actually an integral part of our brain that will be permanent from there on. So in that way, what we practice regularly, little and often, literally becomes the way that we think and feel effortlessly over a period of time. And in that practice, we can overcome pretty much any negative patterning that we've had through our evolution. So, I mean, through our evolution, we've been programmed to notice danger, and that's been extremely useful in the times when we had to kind of fend off saber-toothed tigers in central London, or where central London is now. But it's not so useful in this information age where we really don't have to fend off saber-toothed tigers anymore, maybe the odd fox. It's really an old way of being, and it's with that programming that we see in our peripheral vision danger even before we switch our brain on. We're already looking out for what is missing. And when it comes to our task management, where we've got our 10 tasks and we're constantly focusing on, even if we've done 9, the 10th one that we haven't done. So we're constantly looking for resolving the problem. And neuroplasticity asks us to reset that and focus on what we can achieve and what we have done. And things like gratitude practice are essential to neuroplasticity. So it's not just the hippie stuff. Neuroplasticity is actually about backing up the spiritual practices with real science. Another is mirror neurons. So mirror neurons are our capacity to empathize with one another and what happens in the brain when we do. So if somebody's in front of us telling us a heartfelt story, our brains will fire and switch on the same hormones as our friend who we're listening to is feeling. Does that make sense? So our empathy will cause us to echo the same brain activity as the person who had the experience. So we will live that experience with our friend, and that is empathy. That's mirror neurons right there. And that's how we build attachments with people. And that capacity has been sociologically conditioned for women a lot more readily than it has for men. It's been actually socially unacceptable for men to have that, to acknowledge that until now. Now we're living this really exciting age where it's becoming okay for men to acknowledge their feelings, but sociologically, it's not been the norm. So we're going through this kind of evolutionary process, much like recently we went through this evolutionary process, maybe in the 80s, of the sort of power-shouldered businesswoman that sort of went around behaving in quite masculine ways because that was our traditional path to leadership. So what we're doing there is we're echoing, where our mirror neurons are echoing the business environment and what we feel that we need to be. Does that make sense? Probably a good idea that you turn your mics on now, so we can get some feedback from you. Okay, so mirror neurons and neuroplasticity. We've also got embodied cognition. So embodied cognition is really exciting because that is a new school way of viewing body language. So body language used to be the idea that we convey how we're feeling by the way that we behave. So people can understand more about what we're feeling by watching how we're behaving. Okay, so we're echoing behaving in such a way that is sad and depressed by sitting at our computers and looking at our text messages. You know, the physical position of the body when we're in that position is the same as when we're sad and ashamed or feeling negative, right? Hunched shoulders, looking down, collapsed. When you go, if I just invite you now to go into a physical position that shows you being happy, can you just put that physical position now, just you being happy? I would say that I can stop sharing and embody that myself if you feel comfortable there. So my happiness, I would say I'm sitting up tall, my chest is open, I'm present in my body, I'm actually embodying a state of, yes, I'm here, I'm present, I'm confident, I'm active. I might even have in Kundalini yoga, we have the yes pose here. So it's called the ego eradicator. And I think it's called the ego eradicator because in that position, you don't need an ego. You know, it eliminates the need for this superiority, inferiority complex. And it drops straight into the presence of being and being your maximum potential. So I'd just like you to try that. So have a seat, bring your hands up nice and wide with your thumbs up like this. All right, great. And sit up nice and tall and breathe. Have your feet flat on the ground. And inhale and draw the breath through the feet all the way up to your thumbs. And exhale with a sigh. Yeah. And keep that going. Good. A few more times. And you may begin to notice your physiology changing, the way that you feel naturally changing now. Feeling a little bit more lifted, brighter, more confident, present, uplifted, all those things, even without the power of the mind. So it's just purely the body changing the chemistry of the brain by embodying a powerful position. Yeah. Okay, so now try bringing an affirmation to that. I am powerful, I am strong, I'm confident, I'm capable. 2009 is going to rock. 2019.
That too.
2019 is going to be my best year yet. And breathe into that. Something really simple as this. So you can use much more specific affirmations, which are really helpful. It's really helpful to get super specific. Okay, now rest. I'd like you to write down an affirmation that is relevant to you for this year.
Do you say the affirmation in the present?
Yes. So, yeah, good point, Heather. Thanks for bringing that up.
I'm never quite sure, is it this will be my best or this is my,
Yeah, okay.
What's best in terms of the...
So the best thing for affirmations and also gratitude is this preemptive idea that you're drawing the future towards you by behaving as if it's happening right now. And that works perfectly with embodied cognition. So you're saying it in the present tense as if it's happening right now. And the logical reason for that is because you're inviting the future towards you. Does that make sense? So rather than being dragged from the past, rather than being a product of the past, you're using the power of visualization of the future to bring that to the present. Does that make sense? So state it in the present tense as if it's happening right now, and something that you're moving towards rather than something that you're moving away from. So rather than say, smoking is a good example. So rather than saying, I'm going to give up smoking this year, you would say, I am healthy and happy this year, or I am really enjoying my fitness regime. Hi, today's. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Okay, so has everyone got an affirmation, and would anyone like to share theirs?
I'll do it.
Okay, great, Heather.
This is my most balanced and healthy and successful year.
Great, balanced, healthy and successful. Brilliant. So yeah, a trio is good. Anything more than a trio in a list is going to be too cumbersome to sort of take hold of at once.
And they
so 3 is perfect. 1 to 3.
Linked.
Yeah.
They're quite interlinked. Because if you do
Yeah.
one, the others will kind of naturally happen.
Okay, that's
If I
great.
am more healthy, I will be more balanced and therefore more successful.
So another thing about the subconscious mind is that repetition is a way to reprogram the subconscious mind. So limiting beliefs are considered to be connected to us, our sort of inner child, our subconscious way of being. Limiting beliefs that we have consciously are held from traumatic memories of childhood, or of our lived experience up until this point. And so we've decided that something is true that limits us, and then we gather evidence to put in the bucket to make that more true. So whilst we have that limiting belief, it controls us, and it controls us subconsciously. So we can repeat patterns in our conscious minds because of that limiting belief. So what affirmations are really fantastic at is reprogramming a positive belief. But also what has to happen as well is releasing that negative belief. So just masking it on top is kind of like, one of my mentors puts it like covering a poo in glitter. And he doesn't do that. So essentially you want to make sure that you're being honest and real about your any limiting beliefs, any lack of confidence, and putting practices in place. So one practice I'd really recommend is the Ho'oponopono technique. So on my YouTube channel, I've got a video about it. It's Dr. Ho'oponopono. It's a 4-stage technique. It's a forgiveness practice that is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And what you do is you stream your limiting beliefs. So you write your limiting beliefs just as a sort of brainstorm. And this can be quite alarming as a practice because we hold quite deep-seated limiting beliefs. And the more we dive into that, the more we go, hang on a minute, no wonder I'm repeating that pattern. These are ridiculous beliefs. So like you put them down and you think, I don't think that consciously, what? That's ridiculous. And so you sort of consciously would scrub it out and want it to go away. Whereas actually, if it's come out of you and it's in there somewhere, your inner child, or there's a part of you that thinks that, then the best way is to address it and release it. So the Ho'oponopono technique is a really, really brilliant transformative technique for forgiveness. And it's best practice when you get specific. So get specific about what you're sorry for. Be genuine. Don't mask it. Don't pretend that you're sorry when you're not sorry. Pick something that you can be sorry for. Yeah. So it can be that I'm sorry that I've told myself this story over and over again. Please forgive me can be I forgive you. All right. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. So what are you grateful for? The learnings. What are the learnings that you've had from this painful experience? And I love you. What is it that you love about you, about them, about the situation? Get really specific. It can be quite an emotional experience, but it also can be quite a matter-of-fact experience, and it doesn't lessen the effectiveness of the exercise. So that would be one, the Ho'oponopono technique, to help sort of shift limiting beliefs that are holding you back. And affirmations stated in the positive as if they're happening right now. So, okay, so they're 2 massive takeaways. All right. So when we're setting our goals, it's really about getting authentic to what you want to create in your life, and going back to that quote, what you focus on expands. So focus on what you want, not what you don't want. So I'd like on your piece of paper now we're going to go have a look at smarter goals. So smarter goals build on smart goals. They are specific, measurable, agreed, realistic, time-bound, ethical, and recorded. Okay, so I can share the slides with you afterwards. So I'd like you to write down 1 to 3 goals for this year that you have in a simple sentence. So by the end of this year, 3 goals that you have. And so if you're writing away straight away, that's great. If you need a bit of drawing into this process, then again, close your eyes, feel the feet on the ground, feel your bum on the seat, breathe. Visualize 1 year's time, January the 18th, 2020. How is your life different? What are the major areas in your life? The 1 to 3 major areas of your life that have shifted. And how have they shifted? So just for now, it's just a short exercise. This is something that you can spend a lot more time on. Has everyone written down 1 or somewhere in between 1 and 3 goals? Okay. So this is a practice that's used in business a lot, setting smarter goals or SMART goals. I like the smarter because ethical and recorded just adds that gravitas. And it pulls it into alignment with the soul and the spirit, the fact that it's ethical. The fact that it's recorded is this idea of measurability. So in business, we use this idea of sort of build, measure, learn. So in testing what you're putting out there in the world and testing whether that's effective, whether that's well received. It's quite a masculine practice. I find it really useful. I really respond to the masculine side of me. I love that kind of thing, of having something that has a good structure and direction. So something that's specific. So I want to be happy. That is wonderful, but it's not specific. If you're looking at, can I take somebody's goal as an example, and then we can look at that?
Yeah, you can do mine if you want.
Okay, great.
Well, I did the 3. So by the end of this year, I will have launched a trade and decided where I really need to be and who with.
Great. Really nice. Okay. So you will have launched a trade.
Launched a trade, so I launched my business properly.
Yeah. Decided where you need to be. Is that geographically?
Yes, because I really want to. I'm drawn back down to the coast, the south coast.
And who with? Your partners?
Yeah, it's been very rocky. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. All right. So how can you make that more specific?
I suppose taking steps. Well, what I'm doing now is I'm working on the launching to trade. So that's my focus at the moment. That's my main focus. So those steps are in hand.
So
doing that now.
Getting that more specific, I would say, look at your passions. Look at what trades.
Yeah.
What trade makes me instantly think of crafts or plumbing. So maybe you want to be a chippy, or maybe you want to.
Okay, I will have launched my business in my fashion. What I'm doing. Yeah.
Great. Okay, brilliant. So getting more specific. So what area, what industry, within that industry, what area are you passionate about, and then have a look at what other people are doing and what inspires you. So, I mean, that's a whole different conversation. I rather than doing a competitors analysis, I like to do a community analysis, because actually these are the people that you're going to be that are going to be closest aligned with you and your vision. And there's an element of sharing that knowledge together and inspiring one another, but also the wisdom of the fact that you're going to be operating in a business world, and it's good to keep some of your cards to your chest. So measurable. How can you make that measurable? So launching the business, is that going to be launching your website? Is that going to be registering with the HMRC? Is that going to be having your first customer? So how is that measurable for you, and choosing that? And agreed, it's good to have that accountable to somebody. So it doesn't need to be somebody that you're working directly with, especially if you're a sole trader. It can be a compadre. Like, for instance, Fiona and I work at the same co-working space, so we could be accountable to one another on a goal, because we're going to see each other, we can check in with each other. How is that going? We could fix, an official time to check in, or we could just, when we see each other over coffee, just say, how's that working out for you? So when you've got other people on board with your goal, it's going to help you to achieve it. Or also, I run a mastermind group, so that's something that can help to keep you accountable, and that's a really targeted focus on helping one another achieve our goals and supporting one another through that emotional journey as well as the practical one. So realistic is looking about the resources. It's not about appealing to your limited beliefs. Okay, so when we're going, I want to set up a retreat center in Bali, that can be entirely realistic, but in order to do that, I'd have to have contacts in Bali, I'd have to go out and do a site visit. There are certain things that would have to be in place to make that realistic. So you really shoot for the sky, go for your dreams, but just give yourself an idea of what resources you'd need to make that realistic. Time bound, by when, really important. If you haven't got a time limit, pretty much that can just drift on forever. Ethical, does it fit with your values? And that's a massive thing with embodied goals, and actually just with our heart-centered business, is that it's ethical to, that we operate in such a ways that match our values. And it's so vital that we do that. And so getting some clarity on what your values are as a business, and as a sole trader, that may just be your values, and picking, say, your top 3 to 5 that you want to actually have that embodying throughout your business and people that you work with and clients that you have. And what is your business conduct? Like, how would you like to be treated? And so therefore, how do you treat your customers, your clients and your partners? Because that's the way to build a great reputation, is by embodying your values in the way that you conduct yourself. And that can also stop us dropping into like any kind of victim mentality, or going into, there's a triangle of relationships, but that's another conversation. So recorded, write it down. It really helps to write it down. Tony Robbins and other leading coaches say that they write down their goals every single day. Denise DT, one of my coaches, says she writes down her goals every day. So writing down really is a positive thing to do.
So I had 3 post-it notes with each of my values on, that I see every day, but now I'm going to redo them with a visual. So I have, for example, time, trust and service. So they're my 3 values.
Great.
So I want to have a picture for them now, and so I can visually see it every day as a reminder.
Yes.
Quite good. The visual is quite nice too.
Maddie, that's perfect. So a vision board is actually, vision is the next slide that I'm working from here. So having a vision and using visual cues. I mean, our vision is our most powerful sense. It's the leading sense. And I mean, there's a reason that they say that if someone goes blind, the other senses are heightened. It's because they're not overshadowed by this. So it's such a powerful sense as our vision. And so let's use that. Vision boarding can be hugely powerful. So getting a collage of once you've gone through these processes, getting a collage of things that inspire you. You may just find by this time next year, you have you've got in touch with the very venue that you've got a picture of, you've got that house. Or I found pictures of human mandalas, which are human mandalas, like sacred shapes with people. And I literally got the opportunity to do a human mandala ceremony with 1,000 people in Finland, on the main stage. In fact, it might even been 4,000. It was like the opening closing ceremony at a festival of capacity of 4,000, and everyone's invited to the opening closing ceremony. And they said, hey, can you come and do human mandala? So we did sacred shapes with people, and it was just part of the ceremony to open the space, and it was absolutely a dream come true, and it was on my vision board.
Amazing.
And so really, it just gets clear, and it gives the universe a chance to bring that into your life with ease. because you're looking at that and that's giving you a cognitive reminder. And again, going back into neuroplasticity, the more that you practice that thought, the better you'll get, the easier it will be to realize it, to make that a reality. There'll be less resistance the more you practice it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So having a clear vision is also really key to really driving us forward. And I'm sure you ladies, I know that you're driven women with, excuse the pun, Fiona. Fiona runs a group called Driven Women. So yeah, essentially the power of our vision is so pivotal in creating the goals. And so using the visualization, whether if you're a visual person, a kinesthetic person, an auditory person, use the power of the way that you naturally manifest. So I love music. I'm a very auditory person. So I can change my mood by the music I'm listening to. So if I'm feeling sad and I listen to sad music, oh my goodness, you know, you go into like dive down there. But if I listen to funky music and I dance it off, and actually we had a coaching session yesterday and we finished it by dancing off the tension. It was fantastic. And it was
Emotional.
Emotional, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it just resets you, and that's a state change. So that's another embodied cognition thing. So what you're doing is you're employing the power of your capacity to change your state in your behavior. So going from feeling overwhelmed and emotional into, right, I'm going to dance it off, I'm going to shake it off, and then feeling really empowered and energized. So a good example is zebras, actually. So have you noticed animals do this shake? They don't sort of get traumatized. They don't sort of harbor in their bodies a traumatic experience. They shake it out, and they have this kind of really intense shake that they do. And dogs do it too. You see them do it. But we don't really embody that unless we choose to. State change can be super, super powerful. So I encourage you to, next time you feel really lethargic or overwhelmed, just get up and go into the bathroom and do that ego eradicator position and breathe and notice if your state changes. You can also do the shake. That's something that's a little bit more embodied, so we can do that in the workshop rather than here on the webinar. But there's a number of state changes, and as a Thai massage therapist, my Thai massage therapist has taught me to do those. My Thai massage teacher has taught me to do that on the therapist course, as a way of cleansing the energy that you pick up from a client before moving on to the next, so that you're not transferring that between clients. So you may well know that from Shiatsu, Heather.
Sorry, I missed the screen went blank there. I didn't hear that bit.
Just state changes being useful as a way of not transferring energy between clients. I was just thinking of you and your Shiatsu.
I was actually just thinking sometimes it's not appropriate, like you can't stand and breathe, like if you're on a packed train or something, and you're little sort of like box breathing, where you sort of breathe in for 3, hold for 4, out for 5, and that longer out breath taps in more into the parasympathetic, so it just calms you down and will immediately give you a state change. And I've used it recently. I was just sort of reminded of it. I was just like, yeah, that works. So it's just short, slightly longer. Yeah,
great. So that's very similar to what we call nadi shuddhi in yoga. So nadi shuddhi would be, you take your fingers like this on the right hand, and you place 2 fingers over the nostril on this side and breathe in, and then you hold, and then you release, breathe out, and then breathe in, hold, and then release and breathe out. So that would be for a count of 4 or 8, 6 or 8, or whatever works for you. So try it a few times. Inhale for 4, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and release, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and release, 2, 3, 4, and then repeat in 2, 3, 4, etc. So yeah, Nazi should eat really great, peaceful state maker. There's other techniques that are more energizing, but if we go into those, we won't finish the material. So let's go through. So with your goals, I'd like you to now look at them from a different perspective. So we're looking at the be, do, and haves. I'd like you to just jot down in 12 weeks' time, that's one season. In one season's time. So at the beginning of summer, I'd like you to jot down 1 to 3 things you would like to be, do, or have. So being is about creating a bit, well, I'll continue talking when you do it. So being is about creating a way of being that's in alignment with your goal. So how will you be? And who will you be? Doing, we're really used to this. This is right, that your way of being will propel you into action. But first, it's about that way of being. It's about using the state changes, using the empowerment techniques to change your neuroplasticity so that you're setting yourself up for success. So that when you get into action, it goes with ease. This isn't a sort of endless to-do list as long as your arm. This is the key actions that purely align with your most heartfelt goals. And so not getting cluttered with the small do's, you know, with the bitty things. And then have. So the results of your actions will bring you to your goal. What will you have? Okay, and this whilst you're doing that, I'm going to talk around this idea of putting the big rocks in first. So something that really changed my life and actually changed the structure of my day forever, the way that I structure my day forever, is this idea of putting the big rocks in first. So if you structure your day according to the most urgent things, then you wake up in the morning, and most people wake up in the morning and they'll have pings on their phone, they'll check their messages, they'll check their emails, they'll get guided by other people's to-do list, even before they've had a chance to set their day. Then they are busy with kids, or they're busy with their responsibilities at work, with the expectations of their colleagues, and you know, may or may not get to the gym, may or may not have time to give the self-love practice of maybe making a delicious meal or having a bath, and pretty much get to the end of the day having invested little to no energy in the big vision, the long-term vision for their future. So all those bitty things, they may be urgent, but the question is, how important are they? There's some elements that are important. Obviously, children, they're hugely important, right? You know, if you've got, I haven't personally got children yet, but those that with children, and I've, you know, had close relationships with children, been with partners with children, and my goodness, they take up a lot of energy, but wow, how rewarding. They're incredible beings, you know. So they would go into being important. It's important to look out for the kids, sure. So if you're looking at the priorities in your life as rocks in a bucket, so your day is a bucket, right? Each day, and you have a certain amount of time and space in each day. So the most important things in your life, your core values, things that will help you create the life of your dreams in future, they're the big rocks. So they can be your close personal relationships, they can be getting fit, they can be experiencing nature, they can be drawing, writing, whatever makes you thrive creatively. Okay, and the rocks get smaller and smaller, the more and more bitty they get. So down to grains of sand. So if we get up in the morning and we structure our day by putting the big rocks in first, like I'm going to choose to structure my day by, my thing is getting up and doing yoga and meditation in the morning. So that to me sets my day off. If I've done my gratitude practice and I've breathed and I've stretched, my next thing is get outside. Make sure that I get outside in the day. Make sure that I'm surrounded by people. Relationships are really important to me. So if I'm in a low energy state, I will go somewhere where I can relate to people, because that will naturally boost me as an extrovert. I mean, I like to spend time on my own as well, but whatever you need. So if you're an introvert and you need time, then give yourself that time. Listen to your natural patterns. If you're really energized in the morning, then great, let's use the morning to strategize your life. You know, where do you want your life to go, the direction of your day? So I've used that big rocks in first and the bead you have to structure my day. And a recommendation that I would have to you with this embodied goals is to structure your day according to what your natural patterns. And so in yoga, we're about listening, responding. And it's responding to those natural parts of your day where you're in action, where you're externally focused, where you want to be going out there. And using those parts of your day where you're inwardly focused to research, to read, to swat up on the next thing, to put material together for a workshop, to, you know, to go inward and not force against the grain. So it's really about maximizing your capacity in that state of being. Yeah, so that you've got the side that is shifting your state and you've got the side that's working with your natural flow. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, so then we're going to move now to the wheel of well-being. So we start a bit late, so we're going to be finishing a full hour. All right, we're just waiting for everyone to get on to the call this morning. So we're going to finish that full hour. So that'll be about 10:15, 10:20. Is that going to be okay for everyone? Okay, cool. Okay, so the first wheel of well-being is the wheel of emotion, and this is used in developmental psychology with children. And rather than being this sort of very sort of yang, dynamic kind of what areas of our life are we going to fulfill and that's it's actually, we're going to move on to that later, but this is very emotional. This is kind of how centered we are in ourselves. So the best start in life and getting ready to succeed, confident individuals will feel respected. They'll have a sense of responsibility. They'll feel included, safe, healthy. They'll be achieving in some way, and they'll feel nurtured. And they'll be active. They'll be moving their bodies. And so some of these are more related to other qualities. So when we're feeling nurtured and we are achieving, then we'll become successful learners. When we feel safe and we're healthy, then we become responsible citizens. When we feel included and responsible, then we find that we're developing effective contributors in children, so in ourselves. And when we're active and we feel respected, then we become confident individuals, which I think is a beautiful wheel of well-being there, and really important that we check in with our adult selves on that and not just for children. Again, going back to the idea that our subconscious mind is largely the inner child. So it's our emotional center. It's the emotional version of ourselves. And so with that comes huge enthusiasm and joy and excitement and love, the capacity to love in the way that children do, but also the capacity to be really upset, really fearful. And so these qualities help to ground that. So just encourage to reflect on those. And another wheel of well-being is the different aspects of our lives. And then again, this brings into balance like our work goals with actually setting goals for all areas of our lives. I know, Karen, we've had conversations about this in the past. So These are, and again, I'll send you the slides, environmental, emotional, financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, and characterful. So the last one is about how we develop our character. So just take a moment to focus on that one first. So it can be 12 weeks, it can be 12 months, it can be 3 years or a lifetime, but set a time on it and just focus on how you would like to develop your character, how you feel you'd like to step towards your values. The person that you are, how would you like to develop your character? 1 to 3 things.
Kat, can you just list all of the ones again?
That's okay. We're going to go through them briefly.
Okay.
And I'll send you them as well. Okay. I'll send the slides to everyone that was on the session. So has everyone got 1 to 3 elements of their character that they want to be? And does anyone want to share one of them?
Are they from the wheel of wellbeing, from that list, from the ones that you read out?
Yeah.
So one of my big ones is being included, because I haven't been included in society in the big picture for about 10, 15 years because of my health, been very isolated. So just that one thing is a massive thing for me, to be part of the working world again, and to rebuild relationships and to do what I really should, well, what I feel that is my best self, to be out and working with people again. So yeah, the included is a big one for me.
Amazing. And so that's a really fundamental. So before you're working on the 9 areas, the second wheel, really getting to crux with the foundations there. So then I'd say, Maddie, how can you engage yourself in ways that are sustainable for you? Because that's the key. And doing something like this is being here right now. Because
except for me just doing this, it was a big thing for me to do this.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you being here, because that's absolutely, a really big support of that, because that's great. So you're identifying something that's sustainable for you, in your state of health, that you can maintain, but that also helps you to feel included in the community and relate. Amazing. So then what's more ways that you can do that? And that you don't need to identify them right now. It's just sort of noticing that there are ways that you can choose to engage, and how can you set yourself up for a success. So this is a great one. You can be in a comfortable environment, you can be online, and you can be engaging with people. How can you put yourself into a position where you can be included in the community, but in such a way that it sets you up for success, so it's going to be a supportive, safe environment for you. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Okay, brilliant. All right, so next one, let's look at occupational. I think that'll be, so in terms of your job and your mission with your business, what's one goal that you have? And this is about personal satisfaction and enrichment derived from your work. Personal satisfaction and enrichment derived from your work.
Is this for anybody? Open, or is this for me?
Everyone.
I'll let someone else speak.
So mine is about finding a better balance between sort of the different businesses that I do. I have 2. They're quite different to each other, and the one that really sort of feeds my soul has kind of been sublimated the last year, and it's to really bring that back up again. It doesn't make as much money as the other one, but it makes me happy. So it's finding that real balance, and that's an absolute goal for now.
Yeah, noticing how important that is. Amazing. That's something. Yeah, I totally feel you, Heather. I think that's Yeah,
You still have to pay them. Still have to pay them all, and even doing that business in a way that is more soulful, and less feeling like it's just all very left brain. Make that. So I really like the. I've sort of written down, somebody was talking about values, so make it a much more values based business, so that it
yes,
satisfies, so that I can make it more soulful as well, so it's not
yeah.
so transactional.
Yeah, amazing, Heather. And it's so good to clock that, and that's going to really help add richness to the way that you deliver. And so making that goal as simple as possible is going to be really helpful. Okay, so let's move to physical. So physical goal. So something, recognizing the need for your physical activity, your diet, your sleep, your nutrition, and this, yeah, the movement of your body. What is it that gives you joy? What is it that really gives you joy when you're moving your body? Is it walking up in the hills? Is it dancing? Is it doing, balancing on your hands, doing handstands? Is it, what is it that gives you joy? Running, Fiona. I know that you're big on running.
Well, yeah, I could easily speak on this one. So my 12 weeks time, I don't know, I can just see a big me at the moment. I don't know whether you can all see a big me, but anyway.
I've clicked so that we can see a big you too.
I could just, that's all I can see is a big me and little yous. But anyway, yeah, so if I've got a very specific running thing, which is to run at 80% age grading, and then, but also be really flexible and not feeling old and, kind of slow. It's not about a specific time. It's about feeling what 80% age grading feels like, which is fast.
Yeah. So what is that? So you're running at a percent. Tell me what that is.
Well, what it is, it's just a good way when you get older to feel that you're still making progress, because my times have gone down a bit. Inevitably, I can't run at that higher speed all the time. So to get to that 80% age grading would mean 21 something at park run, which I'd be very, very happy to be doing at the moment.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's
amazing.
And it's kind of a good way to not get hung up about changes, if you see what I mean. It's the feeling of flow, running smoothly and fast, and being flexible is that I want to achieve again, because I've been a bit kind of clunky recently. And
so tell me about the 80%. Is that saying that you are going to run at the average age of 80% of your age?
No, what it is if you ever do a park run and you get a result, it tells you your age grading. So the world champion is 100%. So it's 80% at their time. So I've been 80% before for my times, and they were quicker, but they were like 10 years ago.
I see. So then you're like, okay, so if they're a world champion in your age bracket, you'd be 100%.
I'd be 100%.
I understand.
And you get lots of people, like in my club, for example, who, women of 60 doing 90% age grading, which is phenomenal, So it's a great way to keep motivated if you like to have little targets like that.
Amazing. Love it, Fiona. That's really inspiring and really specific. And
that's like the only one I'm specific on. Everything else is completely fake. Well, I mean, honestly, that's the problem. I can be absolutely linear and clear about running, but everything else, Jesus.
Well, I wonder what principles you apply to the running and how you could echo that in other areas of your life. So let's bring it to the next one then.
Yeah.
So let's bring it to intellectual. So this area is recognizing your creative abilities and finding ways to expand your knowledge and skills. So for me personally, I find this in my work. I've set up my business in such a way that I'm constantly learning. And so that is enriching that part, that's fulfilling that goal. And so, that might be for you writing poetry or writing a book, or, it might be a personal project. So what is a goal that you'd like to set for yourself about ways that you can be, do, and have with your intellectual growth? So learning. What would you like to learn? What sets you on fire? What makes you feel passionate about learning? So this is always looking for the joy, and that will be our closing for the webinar, just thinking about that on an energetic level. Okay, So I'd like us to cover the material. So I'm going to just whiz through the rest of them so that we get a chance to cover through them. Please do let me know if you really want to chat about something, but we're going to have to limit the time on that. So the next one is environmental. So this is good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support our well-being. So things like feng shui have massively expanded in popularity. There's considered to be pockets of buildings that are amazing for people thriving, and then other areas of the office that are sort of less well lit and are just unproductive energetically. Offices are sort of having an overhaul by feng shui experts, because it's so important, our environment, how we surround ourselves, whether we see light, whether we get out in the green, whether we have a view, whether it's an enjoyable space to be in. I know that working at Platform 9 in Hove has really elevated my productivity, because the working environment is a really comfortable place to be, where there's good people around me, there's comfortable places to sit, it's well lit. There's places to go if I want quiet. There's places to go if I want a bit of buzz. So how is your not only working environment, but the environment in each major area of your life? You know, your bedroom. How is your bedroom allowing yourself to be waking up in the morning fully rested? You know, have you set up a beautiful sleeping environment that nourishes you and holds you as if you were designing it for your best friend or someone that you dearly care about? Have you set up your sleeping environment to cultivate beautiful sleep? Have you set up, do you set up your leisure time so that you're in a beautiful environment so you can truly enjoy that? You know, I walk down the street and I see people having a cigarette out the back of the restaurant, and they're looking at bins and walls, and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I don't smoke, but if I did, then I would go in for a quick walk somewhere green. So it's kind of, when you're having a brief break, can you get outside and see the blue sky? How are you doing your environment? So I'm talking whilst you can be writing. Next one, emotional goals. So this is about coping effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. Those of us that work in well-being, this is a major part of our lives, is enabling people that to sort of have that. It's much easier said than done. Having emotional well-being is much more about becoming aware of our patterns and our behaviors, and noticing when we feel fulfilled, and what we're doing when we're in flow, and doing more of that, and noticing when we're triggered and when we're contracting, and doing less of that and engaging less of that. So emotionally, how would you like to develop in the next 12 weeks, 12 months? How would you like to develop in the way that you relate to yourself and others? Okay, next we have, sorry for having to whiz, but it's a short, sharp burst. If you want to dive deeper into this, I'm offering a face-to-face workshop on the 31st of Jan in Brighton, and I'd love it if you wanted to come. It's going to be a 3-hour workshop where we actually have a chance to embody the principles here that we discussed about. So to get much more clarity on your goals for the year and really truly live that. So financial goals, satisfaction with your current and future financial situation. So issues around this are money mindset. It's a massive one. So there's some money mindset practices that we'll be doing in the live workshop. But can you get specific on your financial goals? So something that is a good technique for this is to look at the last 3 years of your annual income and to go, right, okay, so 3 years ago, I earned this. 2 years ago, I earned that. This year, I've earned this. And then next year, how do I want to expand? And it's absolutely okay to massively up level. but also you have to recognize that you will have to do something very different in order to manifest that. It's not a case of repeating patterns that you've been doing in the past. You know, if you're on a gradual growth, then great, you can continue to grow in that way. But if there are blocks, then it's about looking at those blocks, going back to things like the forgiveness practice and EFT and other useful techniques to overcome mental blocks to financial success. And of course, it's also the getting into action. So it's the be, do, and haves. All right. So then we've got social. So how would you like to develop your social life? Developing that sense of connection, belonging, and having a well-developed support system and actually using it. So in those times when you're not feeling so strong, and I think, you know, we have this illusion of being self-sufficient. Actually, none of us really are self-sufficient. It's great to be self-managed, that you're managing your own emotional environment and your life, and that you're taking responsibility, that we all are. But actually, we're none of us are self-sufficient. I didn't make my phone. I didn't build my house. I didn't build the school or the roads. I don't, you know, deal with the rubbish. The rubbish man does that. So I don't grow my own food. Maybe I grow some tomatoes, but that's about it. So this idea of self-sufficiency is massively an illusion. So using our support network is a key to thriving and being truly successful. It's actually recognizing our strengths and recognizing that other people have strengths that we don't have. So it's not about judging ourselves on our weaknesses. It's about utilizing the strengths of others around us so that we can get closer and build closer relationships by utilizing one another's strengths. So how can you develop socially? Or how would you choose to develop socially? What would inspire you? Okay, so then we've got spiritual. So spiritual development is about expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. It's not about believing in God. It's not about doing mantra, or it's really not about particular practice that you should be doing. It's about feeling an expanded sense of purpose and meaning in your life. And so what will help to enhance that? And that may be ritualistic practice. So ritual, again, basically is repetition. So when we make it a family ritual that we all say something good about our day as we sit down to have food, you know, making it a ritual that in the morning you're focusing on what you're grateful for, to then bring more of that towards in your life, or that you get up and go for a run. So how do the other goals feed into your spiritual development, and also what specifically will help you enhance your sense of purpose and meaning in life? And I think actually being here is a commendable start to that. Okay, so then I have a personal theory about prana. Prana in yoga is life source energy. It is literally our capacity. Some people call it vital energy. So it's basically our aliveness. It is how alive we are feeling, because it does fluctuate. So sometimes we're feeling really depleted and other times we're feeling really elated. So it's not like the high of hedonism. It's more about this inner sense of awareness, of flow. And so I have a theory that what nourishes us and what helps us grow in life is on a pranic level. So if you think about the conversations that we have, you always notice as you walk away from a conversation or after spending time with people, some people, when you're spending time with them, you'll walk away and you'll feel elated. You'll feel like bigger inside yourself, more capable, confident. You'll just feel good. It might be a very gentle feeling. And that's the one to listen for. It's a very subtle level, this. So my pranic theory is the theory of expansion and contraction, and how we can use that as a very subtle but very real guide to what is helping to nourish us in the world. And just checking in with ourselves, with yourself, you know, I don't know the best way to say it. But I just speak for myself. So I'll check in on a subtle level as to whether an interaction, whether a relationship will overall leave me feeling in a state of expansion, where I'm open, growing, aware, awake, alive, or in a state of contraction where I feel in danger, threatened, lower in energy, depleted, unconfident. So this can not only be relationships, but activities for myself, my own patterns of thought, my own patterns in my day of what I'm doing. And it can apply to all those layers of all those areas of well-being, and all the principles before that, the value-based wheel of well-being, in all aspects of life. And it's a really simple way to kind of get to the crux of what's working for you. So what leaves you in a state of expansion, where you're feeling open, where your DNA is literally twinkling? What else can I look out for that's just like that? That's wonderful. Or where you're feeling like closing in, and just notice and observe and move towards what's helping you expand, and just turning away, just turning your focus away, not necessarily addressing or not even necessarily healing, but just turning your focus towards what's helping you grow. So I think there are some things, particularly in the well-being industry, that we feel that we need to heal everything and ourselves. We need to fix ourselves. And that, again, is an illusion. You know, the human condition doesn't need to be fixed. We're designed to be imperfect. And that's the beauty of interrelating and recognizing other people's strengths and our weaknesses and our humanity, and bonding through our vulnerabilities, and all the beautiful experience of that. So this pranic theory is a nice, simple way of kind of putting that into practice. So that is a wrap on the content for today's webinar. So I just want to tell you that I've just got a thing from, I've worked with various different clients. I've worked with Google UK, Microsoft Accelerator Summit, the Mind Body Wellbeing Festival in London, and the Body Mind Wellbeing Festival in Norway. And I'm so happy to see you here today. Today's organisers that. And so I'm really delighted to work with such clients, and so hope that carries a little bit of gravitas and allows you to trust me. So ultimately, I have a workshop, and I'd like you to join too. That is in Brighton, 2 till 5 p.m. on the 31st of January. I really hope you can make it. I'll send you the link there. It's www.catduval.co.uk/goals. I'm also running a mastermind group which meets every month for 90 minutes online, so you can be anywhere, and we're coaching. It's a group coaching experience, and so the link to that is catduval.co.uk/mastermind connection. I will send you the link on that as well. And apart from that, I'd really like to thank you for turning up and showing up, and I hope that that was helpful.
Yes, thank you, Kat.
Yeah, thank you, Kat.
No worries.
Thank you.
So do you want to just round off with a little comment, and then before we close?
Loved what you said. The last few bits of what you said, I loved all of what you said, but you were talking about turning your focus away and towards what's helping you to grow in those moments where you feel contracted by situations.
Yeah.
And just that was a really good point for me for being at home with my kids.
Oh, awesome. Good. Thanks, Karen. And that's lovely coming from you, senior yoga teacher as you are as well. So, okay, thank you. Who else wants to speak? Should I just click on you?
Click randomly.
Okay, Teresa. Hello.
I feel a bit introverted today because I've been ill this night, and yeah, so I don't have a comment on the on my work here, but it was very good to join, and I will continue working with this now to get more clarity on my situation here.
Great. That's amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
what it's all about. Thank you. I really appreciate you showing up. Maddie.
Oh yeah, so, hi, yeah, hi. Yeah, this has been really good timing for me because I'm just about to do all my visual planning goals for the year, but I'm not feeling great because I've had a really busy week. So this is kind of a way just to connect with myself first and what's important to me and to get myself back on track. But something you said about beliefs and feelings, I've written down. I find it quite hard to know the difference between them. So you may have like really deep-seated beliefs, but it may just be a feeling that you have, and it's just separating that. So I'm going to work on that and have a think about that. But also I can overthink things, so maybe I shouldn't think about it too much. I'm a bit of an overthinker, but yeah, I think it'll be really helpful for doing all my visual planning, and yeah, but help me to look at it in a different way.
So then go back to the meditation at the beginning, Maddie. Always just go back to the simplicity of the breath and how you're kinesthetically feeling.
Yeah.
So jumping into how you're feeling there, because tuning into how the body is feeling can just strip away the cognitive chatter, because your mind will make up stories. And that's what the mind is for. It creates thoughts. The mind spontaneously creates thoughts, and it can create these amazing visualizations of what is possible, and it can create these terrible catastrophic scenarios, you know, and that's just what the mind does. And so it's kind of what we choose to engage with. What you choose to engage with will determine the path of your life.
Really helpful.
Don't worry about, you know, the fact that your mind may create catastrophic situations, because you can just turn the volume down on that by turning the volume up on the ones that the thoughts that you choose to engage.
Focus on those. Yeah, thank you very much. It's been really helpful.
Thanks. Hey, Heather.
Hey, yeah, it's again, like Maddie, really good timing in terms of so much change and trying to. I think I've just been so focused on lots of doing, and I've kind of forgotten about the being, of being a human being, and it's sort of that thing. I know that creating state change by moving or breathing. And I know when I do it, it works like immediately, and it's to kind of remember to do it, that I just kind of get further and further into the bog, and kind of forget that it's like actually this is what the thoughts are mine. Yeah, I have control over them. They're my thoughts. That how I can do things differently. So yes, as I say, really really good timing, and just that realization that actually, for me, the main thing is if I focus on nurturing myself and looking after my own health, and be that even something simple like planning a week, that simple, which then enables me to kind of it's the central part. So my physical and spiritual health, if I look after that, and emotional health, that then in turn helps with all the other things.
Yes, and giving time and space to really acknowledge that, I might actually be more creative and more productive if I nurture myself more.
Gee, if I eat and sleep well and drink more water, I feel better, I get more done, it's not rocket science, it really isn't. I just it's just need to do it.
But it's creating that, though. It goes back to the neural pathway stuff, that actually while it's a jungle, while you're sort of forging that new pathway, it does feel like you're hacking through the jungle, and that's okay, because
it's a bit having to do it.
Just giving it patience, giving it time and space and repetition.
I have to breathe, it's kind of
like
So it is learning a new way and kind of going, and setting some boundaries within myself, to kind of get it, to change the habits that are not serving me well. So thank you. Good timing indeed.
Thank you. Amazing. Hey, Fiona.
Hey, hi. It's been great. Thank you, Kat. It's really good, and you really know your stuff, don't you? God. And I've done lots of this sort of thing over the years, and I have to keep coming back and redoing it. It's not something that I'm a work in progress. My focus at the moment is on my work, because I'm a journalist by trade, and so I'm naturally sort of lateral thinker and always having ideas that way. And like I said, linear with running, but work is always woo. And which is great for journalism. But in terms of building a business and getting away from being a freelancer, which is something I've been wanting to do, it's not great. because I'm constantly going boom, 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 pick that. Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. So less busy, calmer, grounded, and keep focusing on building. That's what I want to do.
Amazing. Thanks, Fiona. That's really, and I'd say that really leads into the final point I'd like to make, which is that these tools are not this, all the tools that we've laid out in this webinar, they're not a must that you must do all of those. It's listen to what actually resonates with you, what works with you, and go for the simplest one. Go for the simplest one. And then always come back to the breath, coming back to actually that meditative state of being. And then come from there with moving forward. Come from that. Some people call it coming back to a state of nothingness. In NLP we call it the now state. When you're breathing with your eyes closed and you're becoming aware of what's around you, and then what's beyond that and beyond that. And then so they're really useful. And the Nadi Shuddhi with the breath, all really useful techniques. Thanks, Heather, for inspiring that one as well. And really good to come back to center. So really common that we have this sense of overwhelm, and also using the strengths. So Fiona, if you've got that, web visualization, I've got, when you're talking that way, thinking laterally, that's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. But how can you utilize that and the linear focus? How can you bring a sense of focus with the web? So you've got this awareness of what you're up to. There's something called the 19 traction channels that would be on a different webinar about marketing, but it's a sort of bullseye idea that you've got a whole bunch of things that you could do, and then you're actually putting it into the top 3 that you are going to be in action on, and your be, do, and haves. And then you've got a peripheral middle circle of the bullseye that if opportunities come up in that area, you're not going to say no, but you're not going to go and pursue them. And then you've got other things that exist, but that you're not looking at right now.
Yeah.
And that's, one way to sort of manage the web.
Good.
Of stuff. But yeah, great guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
And yeah, I hope that you'll join me on the goals workshop too, at the end of the month. All right.
See you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
See you in about half an hour.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.